And we are back on chapter number 128. Whoa, time flies when you're having fun. This is the Chosen Baseball Journey with former MLB slugger great Karim Garcia. I'm Jonathan A. Cohen. If you've seen my name, my face, maybe it's probably on the internet because I'm touring on the Bible 3.0, the six commandments of the chosen life, and traveling from snowy Arctic Canada down to sunny US states and meeting people at Barnes and Nobles and independent bookstores across the US and actually signing autographs. Pretty cool. So, today I promised last week we were going to have a very, very exciting day, and I'm going to deliver on this. So, I have the real topic and the runner up topic. So, I'll start with the runner up topic. Just going to throw this out there because I was so set that we're going to do one thing. And then, as I'm walking my dog the morning of the taping, and I'm thinking in my head, it all changed. So, the runner-up topic was this. I started thinking about Justin Verlander, and they're saying Justin Verlander is going to sign his last contract, probably play one more year. I had an interesting idea for Justin Verlander for his last year. Are you ready for this one, Kareem?
Okay, go ahead.
Imagine a world where Justin Verlander signs a 5 to 14 day contract at a time in the last season and goes from team to team to team and ends up signing with all 30 MLB teams, plays for all 30 MLB teams in one season in his last hurrah. Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be amazing. Unfortunately, it would be difficult to do, but yes, I mean, it will be kind of cool. It's kind of like the Bauer, signed in Mexico, signed for 5 games. I'm gonna pitch 5 games, and they're gonna become a free agent. And he ended up staying the whole year in Mexico, but that can happen in the States. Nobody says no, but that'd be kind of cool to see that.
You know who gave me the idea? A couple of guys, actually. So this year I was thinking about Anthony Goes. Anthony Goes, former speedster. I wouldn't call him great, but Anthony Goes, the speedster, became a pitcher, and he's with the Guardians, released by the Guardians, comes back to the Guardians. I think he's been on 4 or 5 rosters now. And I started thinking about Edwin Jackson. Remember good old Edwin Jackson
Yeah.
and bounce between team to team to team to team. Edwin Jackson, I think, played for 15 or 14 MLB teams at the end of his career. But what would stop, besides the fact you sign and get released, you just sign these 5 day contracts at a time, or 7 day or 14 day, whatever you want to choose, depending on the thing. Verlander goes from team to team to team. He makes sure he's gonna wear their jersey, make sure he's going to be in the home ballpark because he has to acknowledge with the fans, right? And imagine in Cooperstown, there's going to be a wall for Verlander in the 2025 season. Justin Verlander played for all 30 MLB teams as a one-off. Like, you're not going to do this all the time. But if there's one guy that'd be kind of cool, it'd be kind of cool, Justin Verlander. I mean, I think, in all honesty, having seen him for as long as I have, for his whole career, I think he's underrated, Kareem. I think he's criminally underrated because he played for so long in Detroit and one of the best MLB pitchers of all time. And this would be a great send off. Just saying.
Well, this guy has put up some monster numbers, even when he was with Detroit, and they were not winning a lot, because they got a very tough years back in Detroit. I remember when I was with the Detroit Tigers in back in '99, 2000. That's when he signed his major league contract. He was a rookie back then in 2000, Verlander, and he was throwing gas. Everybody on the Tigers organization was talking about him, how hard he threw, the good curveball, everything else. And he didn't disappoint. Everywhere he has been, he's been exceeded the expectations, even with Houston, helping him, win World Series, stuff like that. And wherever he pitches, except for the Mets, he's probably done well.
It's true. Well, that was the runner up topic. And today's topic is actually something so different than just a Verlander. So we have the NBA, right? An NBA season about to get started. And, people have been very, very high on this league called the WNBA. And you have Caitlin Clark, and one of the greatest superstars in WNBA is a rookie, and a lot of buzz. Toronto just got an expansion team. People are buzzing about watching the WNBA. There's also in the NHL, you have I don't know if it's called the PWNHL, something like that, PWHL. Anyways, there's a women's league in hockey as well. I haven't gone to see it yet, but it's out there. Had me started to think, Karim Garcia, that Are we going to see something called the WMLB? Is that going to happen? Ready, set, go.
It's going to be difficult, but not impossible. They already started something like that in Mexico last year. You know, if MLB was putting attention to that, they have the female version of baseball in Mexico. There were 8 teams. Monterrey ended up winning the whole thing over there. They were actually people excited to go watch the girls. You know, around 10,
Ladies,
12
lady, ladies,
ladies,
ladies, ladies.
ladies. Sorry,
Yes, yes.
15,000 people. You know, going over there. So I don't know if the United States are gonna, pull out that kind of numbers, they go watching, 15, 20,000 people, because the stadiums are pretty big. And I don't know if they're gonna play in the major league stadiums or not, but I mean, that'd be interesting, and who's gonna put up the money? The major league teams?
This is one of the interesting things, and we have a lot of discussion about this. And I tell people, look, everybody's for equality, everybody's for everything else. Let's take everything else aside. When you're running a business, at the end of the day, you have to make money in order to pay. That's it. And people saying, well, NBA players make this set of money, the WNBA players make this set of money, then how is this possible? Folks, let's take equality aside, everything else for a moment. Let's just put the numbers the way they are. If you're in a league that is losing money and the NBA is sending subsidies in order to keep them going, that is telling you something right there. When you get to the point that you're running a league, sustained ticket sales, endorsements, everything else, TV contracts, and boatloads are coming in, give the players 50% of the money like every other league, and let's call it a day. Absolutely. So this is where it's interesting for the WNBA. When you see Caitlin Clark coming to your town and you're paying 50 to $100 a ticket, depending on what the ticket prices are, because some I've heard that exceeds $300, depending on floors, etc. And you see the jersey sales and everything else, people are waking up to it. They're like, huh, this is interesting. So it got me thinking, hockey's doing it. I'm going to guarantee you baseball's going to do it. But Karim, help me help understand, because I tried researching this and Lord knows I didn't get very far with it. So let's start off with, you talk about the Olympics and you talk about international sports. When women, females, ladies are playing baseball, usually they're playing softball, correct?
That is correct.
Karim, what is the difference between baseball and softball?
Well, the stadiums are bigger, the ball is smaller, the bases are longer. Everything is completely different between softball and baseball. It will be very interesting seeing a woman hit a 340 home run. You know, 340 feet home run. I never seen one. I'm sure someone in there that does it. Now the other thing is probably women will be playing with aluminum bats instead of with wood bats to make it more interesting, and bring more people to the stadium to see them, get some runs and stuff like that. Now, are you gonna make the pitching mound shorter for them, or are you gonna leave it the same place? So it's a lot of things they gotta see, because velocity wise, I don't see too many women throwing 90 miles per hour.
Well, Jenny Finch, and you have these famous ladies in softball. From the way I see it, they're pitching underhand, are they not?
Yes.
They're doing when they go underhand, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to have a WMLB, are they going to be play? Is it going to be a softball league or is it going to be a baseball league? And are they going to pitch underhand or overhand? And is it going to be aluminum bats or wooden bats? You're reading my mind. Let's start off with the pitching. First of all, you think it's going to be softball type underhand, or you think it's going to be overhand?
It's gonna be underhand softball.
Underhand softball. It will be. You can't see a world where it's going to be overhand.
I don't say, and they're gonna put the same size of a softball field. You know what I'm saying? Shorter fences on the baseball fields
I
because
would
they're
I would love to have a doctor on to talk about anatomy and talk about elbows and ligaments, because we're all experts now with Tommy John and everything else. If it's the same mechanics for a man and a woman as far as the elbows and ligaments and how it works and throwing overhand, and if they'd have the same type of arm problems or not, because it'd be quite fascinating. Because if the women stay healthier, maybe they can go over to MLB then, because Lord knows the men's league needs some pitchers because they're falling like flies.
absolutely.
So if you're a betting man, WMLB, you think it's going to happen?
Maybe in a few more years. I don't think they're even thinking about this because how everything is going so good with MLB and the players and the money wise and the TV rights and the playoff. You don't want to lose the momentum. Bring them another league right now into your own league. And if this happens, will have to happen during the winter time because the whole summer you have baseball. You had 162 games in the summer, so there's no way that you're gonna have to. When the team is on the road, bringing a softball team to play on your field.
And you could start off with teams that have domes, so you can play it any season, literally.
Yes.
Um, I would see a world where MLB, you and I've talked about this before. Expansion is going to happen. There's going to be two teams for sure. It's just every year they wait. There's more billions that it's going to generate, but it is going to happen after we finish off with the two expansion teams. We have to deal with the Olympics and the WBC, and then we can move on to WMLB. But with the popularity of of baseball and women's sports, I would have told you years ago it's never gonna happen, but now with the WNBA and the attention it's getting, Kareem, it got me thinking. You start up a league, the expansion fees $150 million, 100 million, 50 million, whatever it is to start off, which is peanuts compared to what it is to get an MLB expansion team. It looks good for the community, everything else, and there are great players you've seen in the past in the Olympics. The only thing I'm stuck on is, are you going to make it a softball league or a baseball league? And that's where for me it stops. If you once you figure that part out from logistically, but in order to have it as a baseball league, then college and everywhere else, females are going to have to graduate from softball to baseball then, because if they're playing softball in college, it's going to be very hard to go to baseball when it's a professional league.
Yes, it's different. Starting from the baseball, the mound, the bases, everything is bigger in baseball. And it's shorter in softball. And I would think to make it happen, I would think it would be softball.
I'm thinking it's gonna be softball. Well, there's a reason why they do it and why and it has been popular. I mean, don't get me wrong. Think about Jenny Finch and think about the Olympics and everything else. Which brings me to the Olympics, which I sneezed and apparently I missed it. There was an Olympics in 2024. Is that correct?
Yes, it was. I did watch some of the Olympics, especially track and field, which is what I like to watch all the time. The 100 meters, the 400, the relays, the 100 by 4 by 1. So all those, I watched that. And a little bit of swimming too.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it because I did not. Because to me, how do you have an Olympics in the summer without baseball? Baseball is the summer sport. It is the sport for the summer. Think about it. There's no NBA, there's no NHL, there's no NFL. Why? Because it's summertime. What do we do in the summertime? We watch baseball. But apparently, baseball is not good enough for the Olympics. Underwater polo is, breakdancing is, but not baseball. So until baseball's in the Olympics, I'm not recognizing the Olympics anymore. To me, it's not a real competition. Okay.
We don't have to worry about it because in 2028, baseball is back.
So baseball becoming an official sport again back in 92, ran until 2008, came back in 2020 for a year. Interesting, interesting. Now, Karim, you born, raised, hailed from Mexico, and Mexico having a very strong WBC contingency. Let's do a little trivia here for you. How's Mexico's record in the Olympics in baseball?
Not very good. But in 2020, when they play over there, I think they win one game or two in the whole series.
And how did they do in the Olympics before then?
They won. They won in Japan. Actually, a year before to get to pass to the Olympics, they had to win.
For the qualifying, yes.
Yes.
But back in 92, 96, 2004, all the various years where Mexico was in the Olympics. How was Mexico in the Olympics in baseball?
I never even knew they went. I don't think they did very well.
You hardly knew if they went because they never qualified for the Olympics in baseball. Like, I didn't realize this either. I was looking, I'm like, this can't be right. But Mexico never qualified in baseball for the Olympics until that past Olympics in the 2020s.
Yes.
I was flabbergasted. Imagine. So you think about all the stars in baseball that have come through the years, right?
Mhm.
And in Mexico and Nicaragua played, Canada, Australia medaled. And so in international play in the Olympics for baseball, okay? Cuba on top with 5 medals, Japan with 4, United States with 4, South Korea with 2, Australia and Chinese Taipei and Dominican each with 1. Mexico never even qualified until the 2020s. Are you surprised? Because I was shocked.
No, I'm not surprised. Back in those days when they were trying to qualify, and they never put up the teams that they are doing now, you know. They bring some of the guys professionals when and before that actually they were amateurs. They were not professionals. So it was even harder because Cuba at that time they were monsters. They were all guys that could have played in the major leagues. They never given the opportunity. And they pretty much win every time they went to the Olympics, they win the gold medal. You know, then the United States won a few times, like you mentioned. And now when they start getting the professionals, you know, South Korea won a gold medal actually. Japan is always strong. They have won a few times, and they shown on the WBC. But Mexico, they have to get all the players that play in the major leagues to actually compete for a medal.
Thinking back to your playing days, and you got the strap on the jersey in coaching and before as a player for WBC. And I told you one of the things I love watching you out there on the field, man, you were Team Mexico. And if you had gotten the call in your playing days saying Mexico is going to be competing to try to get into the Olympics to qualify and then actually got into the Olympics, how much different would it have been to be in the Olympics versus the WBC in your estimation?
Well, I think that's the only thing is missing from my resume because I have played everywhere else, and I would have loved to play on the Olympics. I would have gone in a heartbeat. You know, you have to ask permission to your team to go, but at the same time, I mean, it's one time that you're never gonna get it again because Olympics are every 4 years. So I would have won. I would have went on a heartbeat.
If Major League Baseball called you and told you, Kareem, we need you as an advisor, you being the WBC expert, if we have to choose between either sending players out to the Olympics or continuing on the WBC, which would you go with? You can only have one.
Uh, I will say the WBC because it has a better momentum right now. People is picking up on the WBC. People is loving to see all these players that playing for their country. And what they meant to each one of them. I think WBC.
I'm in full agreement. I mean, you think about South Africa, Israel, right? And all England and these countries that qualified that came out of nowhere, and now they're encouraging, they're building more fields and bringing more players out and bringing them to the minors and majors. I think WBC has been so great they can't stop the momentum. I agree. It was a shame when they had to pause it during COVID, but I think WBC you have to keep it every 4 years. It's been a great tournament. You just have to time it. I think that it can't be the same year as the Olympics. It has to go one against the other. The thing that I'm stuck on, and when I think of the Olympics in general, I think it came to a point that to me it was always an amateur based. And once you started setting professional tennis players and professional hockey players and the professional baseball players, to me, it started to lose a little something. I have no issue with keeping baseball in there, and this was the part of the debate. And I would do it with all sports, quite frankly, and having it more amateur based. And there's a lot of great amateur athletes out there. You still get a lot of attention for it. But when some countries are sending amateurs and some sending professionals, this is where the discourse is happening, certainly. So I don't have an answer for it, but one part of the solution is I don't have an issue. Minor league players, free agents, college players, thinking along those lines versus the professionals. But I know that's very controversial for people.
Yeah, I think, and I agree with you. I would like to see more amateur people playing in the Olympics. In the sports. The basketball, the United States couldn't win. That's why they made the dream team and made all professionals and start winning the whole thing again. But that's why, because the United States couldn't win in basketball because everybody was catching up to them. And now in baseball, same thing. You know, you bring all the major leaguers or whatever. United States has the upper hand, but that doesn't mean they're going to win because they have put great teams in the WBC and they haven't won it. So, you know, except for this year. But I mean, this year Japan won again, so it's difficult.
You remember that magical 1984 U.S. Olympic team with Mark McGuire, Corey Snyder, and them? There were so many guys that ended up graduating to the majors. And that's a perfect example to me. If you think about all these first round picks, imagine before Jackson Holiday goes and gets called up to the Orioles. And while he's still in he just got drafted, he's still last year of college, or he's about to get called up, he's in AAA. You give me a team of Jackson Holidays, I'm watching that all day long.
Yeah, I mean, they're exciting. They bring something different to the table, and they haven't been in the major leagues. You know, I mean, people wants to see what is the next up and coming star that you're gonna go watch on the TV or at the field or whatever it is.
And this is where I've been boycotting the Olympics because, in my estimation, it's only money driven. It's it. Nobody's going to argue that baseball is not a sport and the summer sport, and the Olympics should have baseball without a doubt. But when you're not saying the professionals and the Olympics says, okay, well, then we'll just take our ball and go home. This is the kind of arguments. I know the NHL had the same thing with the Olympics as well. And do you do it mid-season? Do you pause the season? How do you do it? It's very, very difficult. But uh, hearing the process of trying to get the Olympics, landing the Olympics as a city, and trying to get your sport qualified, the Olympics is all about money and politics, like everything else in life.
Yes. And now that the Olympics are coming to the States in 2028, you have to bring Mexico into it. Somehow they're going to have to bring Mexico. It's a lot of Mexicans on the States. They want to go see the national team. So to them, for them, it's gonna make sense that somehow Mexico has to qualify.
I hope they qualify. And Karim, I'd love to see your Olympic dream come true and having you coaching for Team Mexico in the Olympics. Uh, that would be unbelievable. So we're sitting here 4 years away. You got some phone calls to make, my friend. You got a little bit of time. You got about 1,500 days to work on this, but could happen.
Yes, I mean, I love to be a hitting coach over there.
There you go. So let's work on that. Let's get Kareem over to the Olympics and helping Team Mexico. And before then, we'll have another WBC. But it's interesting, folks. Think about this. Sending your comments, questions. WMLB. Is that going to happen? How's that going to look like? How would you structure that? And when do you think that would happen, if ever? Should be very interesting. I'm going to tell you now again, it's going to happen. And I foresee in the next 10 years for sure, maybe even in the next five, they just got to get those two expansion teams going in MLB. But regardless, it's all going to be, again, we talked about the Olympics being about dollars and money and everything else. WMLB, they just have to figure out how is it going to be made so that it can generate money, bring lots of opportunities to female baseball players, softball players. Could be very, very interesting, with life heads. So WNBA found a way to be created. WMLB, I think, is next.
It will be.
Stay tuned. And of course the Olympics, and we'll have a lot of time before that happens. But good that baseball is gonna come back, and it better stay there. And by 2028, you could be our correspondent out there, Kareem. So stay tuned. Send in your comments for the chosen baseball journey. We've had too much fun over the past few weeks. And we'll be back next week as we're getting into the playoffs, and it's gonna be finally underway. We're gonna talk about who made it, who didn't make it, and continue our playoff pictures as we're rearing into World Series season. Stay tuned. Chosen Baseball Journey.